Well, gee whiz, I don't know when this video is coming out, but we're doing it anyhow. Welcome, folks. I'm Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA, KIRK.
What's up?
We're looking at the Matrix Resurrections pitch meeting from Screen Rant. Thank you, Screen Rant, for allowing us to react to this. Very, very much appreciate it. Y'all, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, bell icon, all notifications, and pretty please vote this up. Let YouTube know you're enjoying what you're watching. Hopefully you are. Full disclosure, The Matrix Resurrections was a film that I went into and came out of feeling not quite right about, and ACHARA felt right about. And then we watched it twice, and I was like, yep, my feelings the first time were on point, and ACHARA was like, whoa, I guess I was wrong. So yes, here we are, The Matrix Resurrections pitch meeting. I can only imagine what he has to say, but what I'm most excited for, and what I think I'm always most excited for, and maybe this is something I shouldn't do, I'm setting myself up for disappointment just like I did with The Matrix. What I'm most excited for is the super easy, barely an inconvenience moment in this pitch meeting. So thank you, Ryan George, for bringing us joy in these dire times. Before we start, actually, I will say one other thing. There's a video I'm gonna link in the description below that you guys should check out, just for like extra homework, because that's what the Wachowskis like, you know, having you read more shit to understand their films. There's a video my brother sent me, actually, that helped me to understand the film better, because I knew that it was layered with deep stuff. Just how deep, I was like, oh wow, like there's actually a lot there to unpack. It's too bad most of that's lost on you, but the video certainly helps you to understand what the film was going for even more. Some of it's obvious, but some of it's not so obvious, and I recommend you check it out. It's fun. You can watch it in speed mode. Here we go, let's check this out.
So, you have a fourth Matrix movie for me? Yes, sir, I do. And I have to say, it was tough to crack this one because of how the trilogy, you know, ended and the story was complete and all done. Right. The story was over. It was done with. But you figured out how to bring it back. I did, sir. I kinda did. Amazing. So let's hear it. Right, so we're gonna meet an older Neo, right? And he's a famous video game developer who made a super popular trilogy called The Matrix. Oh. And the trilogy is done, you know, the story's complete, but the decision makers are forcing him to make a fourth one. Right. And he doesn't want to do it, but his boss is like, Warner Bros. Are going to make this fourth one with or without us. Do we have a problem here? You tell me. You want to take this outside, buddy? I would love to take this outside. Well, then let's take this outside. Fine with me. This is nice. Yeah, fresh air, right? Makes a huge difference in my mood. Gets stuffy in there sometimes. It does, yeah. Well, we should get back, though. So yeah, I figure we could spend a good chunk of the movie making fun of unnecessary sequels, you know, just being very self-aware about the cash grabbiness of it all. Okay, but just to be sure, so I can tell the shareholders, we're still gonna do that, right? We are, yeah, but by being self-aware about the cash grab, we make the cash grab clever. Oh, I love it. Take a big meta crap all over me. I can take it. Meta craps are tight. All right. So anyway, Neo has no choice but to make this fourth Matrix game, but he also feels like he's losing his mind a little bit. Oh, he does? Yeah, he's not sure what's real or not, and his therapist is making him take these blue pills. Oh, that's part of the IP. It is, yeah. So we're gonna spend a bunch of the movie just pretty much remaking the first Matrix movie, but slightly different. What do you mean? Well, we're gonna kind of discover what the Matrix is. The audience already knows what the Matrix is. They do, yeah. So we're gonna show them again, and also just play a bunch of clips from the first movie. Sure, why not? We do own those. Oh, we're gonna have Morpheus in the movie, except it's not him, except it is, and he's played by a different actor. Oh, and what's he gonna do? He's gonna be in the movie. Amazing. Oh, and we're gonna have Agent Smith in the movie, except it's not him, except it is, and it's played by a different actor. Oh, and what's he gonna do? Also in the movie, sir. I love it. And so eventually this team of real-world characters are gonna discover Neo in the Matrix, so they arrange this big rescue operation to get him out of the Matrix, you know, again. Wow, so what do they need him for? You know, not much, really. Oh, yeah, just kind of want to get him out of there. Dude's a legend. Kinda low stakes. Kinda, yeah. So then Neo wakes up in a gooey pod.
That was the entire thing wrong with the film for me, is that I get it that, you know, Lana Wachowski was, the whole point of this is making fun of reboots. And I mean, there's a lot more intricacies to the film than that, but that's definitely a major point to the film, taking shots at reboots in general. Right?
Yeah.
I think that was my fundamental issue with the film, is that once I realized where the film was headed, I'm like, the stakes are so low in this movie. It doesn't, it's not actually that important what's happening.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we get it. And then also the power of love and Trinity and all that. That's all fine. But like, what's the bigger adventure here?
Right.
Like, when do they get together and go defeat something in the Matrix? more.
Yeah, that's not,
I don't know.
not happening yet.
Low stakes. Kinda, yeah. So then Neo wakes up in a gooey pod again, and he sees that Trinity is still in a pod right next to him. Now, she was an important character. She sure was, sir. And when Neo was still in the Matrix, he kept encountering Trinity, except her name was Tiffany, and she had like a whole family, which was super weird. Very weird. So then Neo's gonna talk to Niobe from the other sequels, except she's super old now. Oh, how come? Well, sir, turns out 60 years have passed, and there was a whole machine civil war, and some of the machines sided with humans. Wow, you know, that actually sounds like a really interesting movie, right? Anyway, so back to this one. Sure. So Neo's gonna meet Sati, who was a little girl that he spoke to in the third movie. All right. And she explains that somehow he and Trinity were resurrected. So Neo's like, oh, I gotta go save Trinity. She's still in the Matrix. Oh, yeah? Yeah, because see, if he doesn't get her out of the Matrix, she might take her fake Matrix kids to soccer practice or something. That does sound awful. So Neo and...
No. They were gonna kill her.
Yeah.
Straight up, they were gonna kill her. But it does seem sort of stupid. It's like, so you're gonna risk the lives of everybody for this one person for what?
Yeah.
Like, what is the threat though, honestly?
And like also what he said, all that stuff about the machine civil war,
Yeah.
that is really interesting. Why wasn't that explored more in the movie? Or is that going to be like a prequel, or
that's something
is
they
that
just
going to be
glossed
like
past, yeah.
an Animatrix type story?
Well, here's the thing that I think I'm realizing is that all of the plot is really unimportant to the point of the movie. The plot is more cannon fodder for the film. The function of the film is to tell you something. It's not the story. The story is so unimportant.
Story, what's that?
Yeah,
Let's just throw that out the window.
The message, being directed at the audience is the important part, not the story. The story you can set fire to. That's not what Lana Wachowski actually cares about.
That's frustrating.
Yeah.
kids to soccer practice or something. That does sound awful. So Neo and that team of characters head back into the Matrix, and they encounter a bunch of exiled programs they have to fight. Oh boy, yeah, it's gonna be amazing. And obviously we'll get Keanu to do a bunch of incredible hand-to-hand combat. Something wrong. Well, you know, his schedule's kinda nuts these days. I don't know how much fight choreography we can really do with him. Oh, okay. Is that all right? Kind of a big part of the Matrix movies.
Yeah.
Right, so not a huge deal. Kind of a huge deal. Oh, you know what? Maybe he can move things with his mind. Kind of a force push situation. Okay, yeah, sure. So whenever Neo gets into some kind of conflict, he kind of just force pushes people away from him just over and over and over again. That'll be very fun to watch. It might be. You know, let's roll the dice. Yeah, roll them. So eventually Neo's gonna see his therapist, who it turns out is this program called the Analyst, who made this new Matrix. Okay. And he's gonna kind of trap him in time using the power that defined Neo against him. You know, bullet time. Wasn't bullet time the name of the filming technique to show Neo's abilities and not the ability itself? That's certainly possible. So this guy's gonna use bullet time. Oh, very cool. And he's gonna explain that keeping Neo and Trinity close together could power the Matrix, but if they got too close, they became too powerful. All right. And eventually they do get close, and now they need to escape the Matrix together. Oh boy, do they have agents after them? No, agents aren't really a thing anymore. Now they use this thing called swarm mode. Swarm mode? Yeah, see, what they do is they take over a bunch of people and kind of turn them into zombies that just throw themselves at the good guys. So now the machines waste a bunch of batteries instead of just a few. That's their new strategy, yeah. So then Neo, I guess, uses his force push a whole bunch. Very exciting.
I completely neglected to even consider the fact that they're just wasting batteries.
Right.
Which is the whole point.
Then they're super valuable. Massive plot hole.
That just kind of broke me a little bit. As I'm watching this, the more I'm noticing how much Lana Wachowski really didn't want to make this, or the story just didn't matter.
Well,
it's completely making fun of reboots in general. Okay, the callbacks and whatnot. It's to make fun of the fact that callbacks are so crucial to reboots and sequels. Oh, remember this? And it's that whole nostalgia thing. But how is that making anything good? That's the part of the point.
Well, yeah. And then the second time I watched this, I was kind of drifting in and out of sleep. And I swear to you, in my dream state, it's almost like I could hear her voice going, "I'm so mad!
Yeah.
I'm so mad that I have to do this." It just sounded really angry without looking at the visuals.
But not just that this has to be done, but also reboots and the world. Like,
yeah,
there's-
just social media.
Yeah, there's a lot of rage
all
in
of
the
that.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess uses his force push a whole bunch. Very exciting. And that's gonna lead to him and Trinity needing to jump off a building. Oh man, it's gonna be hard to get out of that situation. Actually, it's gonna be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yes, he turns out Trinity can fly. Oh. Yeah, used to be Neo, now it's Trinity, so that's how that, that works out. Why? Because that works. And so yeah, that's about it. What do you think? Well, it's, what's the story exactly? How can I explain, have you ever had a dreams where you want them to do you so much you can do anything? Yes, of course. So pretty much that. Okay, got it. Well, sounds good. It's a Matrix movie, so it's gonna kill at the box office. You know it.
Dang,
everybody,
below
Ryan here.
Sing
Hope you enjoyed that
2.
video.
And by the way, though, Sing 1 was amazing.
Yeah, I was actually quite curious about Sing 2. If I'm being totally honest. I feel like Ryan George might have been just as frustrated making this pitch meeting as Lana Wachowski was making the Matrix Resurrections film.
Oh, why do you say that?
I don't know. I just have a feeling he just seemed upset. His character was upset. Just like the things he was saying about the movie was upsetting. It's just,
Yeah.
It just seemed like he was like frustrated, But I mean, this is all conjecture. I have no idea.
Yeah, you might be projecting.
I think the whole experience was frustrating though. And so you have to imagine Ryan George has to like sit with this film and take it apart. It's like that can't have been a fun film to take apart. Even though it seems like on the surface, like it's just rife with all kinds of jokes, it's not a fun film to go back through.
No, it's not. I imagine as well. I don't know. I think he's from the, the same generation as us.
Sure.
Around-ish,
He might have been just as disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah, and so The Matrix was a huge film for our generation when it came out, and to kind of have all that love behind it and then wait so long for this movie. Well, we weren't actually waiting for a sequel because like you said, it was wrapped up.
No, I was. For a long time after Matrix Resurrections, I was like, I just wanted more. I wanted more in that universe. I'm like, more can be done here. It doesn't have to end with Neo and Trinity. Like, there's a whole world there, and the way the trilogy ends, it basically is saying that the Matrix starts over again, and they actually kind of, had an exploration of it in the games and whatnot. There was more to tell. There was more story to talk about. The Wachowskis weren't done with it because they made Path of Neo. Like, the fact of the matter is, the Wachowskis still wanted to tell more story within the Matrix. I don't know why the hell. Anyway,
there were probably parameters, like, oh, we want to have Neo in it, we want to have Trinity in it, like you have to.
It just feels
have
like
the nostalgia factor. You can't just make a brand new movie because who's gonna watch it if they don't know the characters, they're not familiar with them.
What it feels like to me is the Wachowskis are like anti-Joseph Campbell in a way, because they bamboozled the world with this dope first story, which follows the paradigm of Joseph Campbell almost to a goddamn T.
Yeah.
It's like they merged all the cool shit that they grew up with, that we all that we all loved, anime, kung fu, all that stuff, dope cinema. They put it all together into this extremely marketable film.
Yeah.
An extremely memorable, like culture smashing film. They're like, all right, cool. Now we're gonna break everybody. Why? Why did you do? Why? That's not how they set it up. They reeled you in with this dope thing to then take you this other direction where they're gonna completely sabotage everything that you sort of come to expect with these trilogies, which, I'll give you credit, it's bold. It's a bold thing to do. But damn, does it suck to go through. It's just like, it's not as fun. Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, while there are things I enjoy about those films, they're not anywhere near as fun as the first Matrix.
Yeah.
Right?
First Matrix kind of set the bar really, 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 really high.
But the Wachowskis had no intention of coming anywhere near that bar again. That's the thing that people fail to understand, I think. Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions couldn't have been as good as the first one. It's like, well, they weren't trying to do that though. They were trying to destroy your expectations and go this opposite direction, pull the rug out from under you. That's what they were trying to do, and they succeeded.
Right.
And so with Matrix 4, it was a similar kind of thing. They bamboozled you with the trailer because you're like, oh my god, like, whoa, this is like a proper reboot. This is super cool, and you get excited and like the imagery and the mystery and all that. Then you get there like, oh, whoa, this is like not at all how you sold this. This is the complete opposite. You showed up for what you thought was a mysterious action film, a reboot of something you fell in love with as a young guy or a young gal, and instead you got this fucking thesis on what is wrong with social media and reboots.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God,
And it's like, it's not anything that we haven't talked about before. I don't feel like there's anything. I mean, I didn't finish watching that video that you
I understand.
talked about, but I'm like, it doesn't feel like there was anything particularly new or interesting, or like they said in the movie, you know, like, oh, it needs to be something that like F's with your brain, you know, and it's like, I didn't even feel a mild tickle.
Just lean the fuck in, dude. Or gal. Lana Wachowski, just lean the fuck in. Like, no one is asking for a thesis. Like, okay. It's just so frustrating because she didn't have to make this movie. Warner Brothers was gonna make it without her, and it would have been fun. At least it would have been fun. That's the thing.
It could have been garbage.
It could have been garbage fun, but at least it would have been fun. Maybe it would have been the Metal Gear Solid sequel that followed Metal Gear Solid 5. It could have been that bad. No one's played it for a good reason. It could have been that bad. At least someone would have given it an earnest college try at something fun. You know, taking what people enjoyed about the first one. Obviously, that can't be the only thing that fuels the story because we saw what happened with Star Wars, right? It can't be just strictly fueled by nostalgia. What better person than Lana and Lily Wachowski to go and tell that story again? Like, okay, look, so you had your fucking fun with Reloaded and Revolutions and Cloud Atlas, okay? You had your fun trying to bamboozle people with these theses. Now, can you just tell a fun story again? Like, if you want to embed, you know, philosophical stuff about social media and whatever, fine. But like this Charlie Kaufman thing, I don't know, it just really frustrates me the more I think about it. It's like, yo, I get what you're doing, cool, bravo, but now it's just forgettable. I mean, maybe there'll be this revival apologist thing that comes 20 years from now, just like with the prequels to Star Wars. I have no interest in coming back to it. I've watched it 3 times, to be sure. 3 times. And by the 3rd time, I was like, yeah, even though I know what's going on here and I understand, I don't enjoy this movie. It should be fun.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Anyway, I've rambled. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just feel like that's what Ryan George might have been feeling in making this video. It's like, this wasn't even fun. I'm being honest. I didn't really laugh during this pitch meeting. And what could you possibly laugh about? It's just disappointing, you know?
I laughed at the disappointment. I mean, if you don't laugh, you'll probably cry.
I wanted to. I wanted to. I mean, it's just sad. Don't resurrect this.
It needs to stay buried.
You wanted a reboot? Here's your fucking reboot. That's what it feels like the movie's saying.
Yeah, like aggressively angry at everyone. Like, don't be angry at us. We're just fans.
Anyway, check out that video that I recommended you guys watch because it'll help you to understand what Lana Wachowski was going for. It's not going to make the movie more enjoyable, but it's going to make it more understandable. And I think that the messages in that video are worthwhile. I think that they are worth understanding. If those messages were able to get across, it would have been eye-opening. It would have been cool and enlightening, at least a little bit, especially to, you know, your spongy teenage minds.
Sure.
You know what I mean? To your impressionable minds. I think that it would have been enlightening. It would have been cool because like when that first Matrix film came out, as a kid, I'm like, whoa, I'm just soaking that all up and trying to unpack it all. But even with the sequels, even though they weren't as fun, I'm trying to unpack it and understand it and get more from it. I don't see people doing that with this movie. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And I'm sorry, Ryan George, that you had to go through this. Hopefully it was a little fun. Anyway, that's it for now, you guys. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon, all notifications, and please vote this up. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.